Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 30 of the GGBO 2022 build. And having made a load of mess last time gluing up the multi-laminate neck blank, this time we're going to clean it all up and start the process of making it into a guitar neck by cutting the headstock angle, getting that all cleaned up, and then getting the truss rod installed. Okay, so when we left last time, we just had this very rough blank glued up. And it is quite a lot of unevenness on here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get this top face cleaned down so we can get this progressed to looking a little bit more like an actual neck, not a great big lump of wood. So first thing we'll do, just get it in the vise. Get that nice and secure. And I'll just take a number 6 plane and work this down until we get it something like. Okay, so that's all nicely flattened off now. It's all square and straight and level across there. So the next thing is to mark this up for kind of the really important parts of this, such as the nut line and where the truss rod is going to end, etc. So to do that, I need to have 2 things. I've got my little template for the headstock, which is obviously going to go on at an angle, but if I kind of lay it on flat, that will give me a rough idea of where we need to be with it. And I can just put a little mark on that we can then square across. And I'll just use my appropriate scale length template, which I can match up with that nut line and mark the position of the 24th fret, because I am going to have 24. And if I come a little bit beyond that, kind of mark an approximate position for the end of the fretboard, which will also be where this little wheel adjuster for the truss rod ends. So they can then mark out for that. Now it is also worth remembering that some of this area here will kind of fall in the neck tenon as well. So we've got loads and loads of material, so we don't have to worry about that. Before we go any further, I'm just going to mark this so I know that that's the face and that is the edge that we're going to work from. I haven't bothered squaring this edge up. There's no need really. The vast majority of that is going to get cut away, so it will have no bearing on the neck itself. But I need one square edge so I can reference on the bandsaw, and I know I'm going to get a nice square cut. And speaking of the bandsaw, I've done a little bit of marking out. So I've marked the 10-degree line on here that the headstock angle is going to go off at. And happily, I had a delivery first thing, and I've got a brand new bandsaw blade, so we can just whip this over to the bandsaw, get this headstock angle roughly cut down, and then we can break out a plane and clean that up nice and smooth and square before we can move on and get this truss rod channel done. Okay, so that's the headstock angle done. So now it's just a case of getting the router out and putting the truss rod channel in. I'm going to start my truss rod channel just here, because that's where I worked out that we need to be realistically. And I'm just going to take it, that's interesting, it's got a screw in. I'm just going to take it somewhere past this mark here, which is where I've marked for the end of this wheel adjuster. So I'm going to have to unscrew that to take the adjuster off, because I'm not going to cut out for the adjuster just yet. I'll just get it so that I can slip this truss rod in without it, and then we can put this on at a later date. So I'll just put these safe for the time being, and we can get the router out. And to route this in, I've just got the big Triton router with the fence on it, and I'm going to set this up. I've got a V-point bit in the router which will allow me to set the fence exactly onto the center line, and then I'll just keep that setting the same but swap it out for a 1/4 inch straight cutter, which I will cut the bulk of this channel in with, and then I'll just have to then swap that out again for a slightly wider cutter just to do the section where the adjuster goes in, because that's a little bit fatter. So just get this set up and we can get cutting. Okay, so that's the truss rod installed. That's all gone in very nicely, so happy with that. So next up is we need to thin down this headstock area and kind of trim off a lot of this excess and create the actual net blank itself. And then we can start to think about getting a fretboard sorted out for this. But I think that's something for next episode, so I'll leave this one here. So as always, hit that like button if you've enjoyed this, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll be back in a few days' time with the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.